If he were to become the second king of newspapers, he would never become the king of newspapers again. Navy. Pirates. Revolutionary Army. World governments. What is justice? What is evil? The ultimate evil has won and will never turn into a bright light. The weak have no say in the face of the strong. So let me become the strongest. The Tianlong people have expelled me, so let the Tangjikode family become the new Tianlong people. Kai Duo, you need to make sure that I am not your subordinate, our status is equal. Shanks. I left this scar. It's the glory of your life. Big Bear, it's better for people to live a selfish life. Those who bear the pain for others and don't understand what hatred is are sad. What is hatred when you ask me? Bonnie will tell you the answer. Hancock. Kneel down. I am your nightmare, your eternal master. The Navy is justice, and pirates are evil. This idea has long been outdated. The victor will eventually be just. Develop power in the early stage, and engage in mass killings in the later stage. Introduction is weak, welcome readers to visit. Chapter 1. I will change destiny. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brainstorming place, pirate flow, planning flow, and wrong values. Don't look at the 2 chapters and leave a negative review due to the issue of values. Readers, I'm writing about Domingo, not Sikorsky. I'm also convinced. You can't just let him defend justice, can you? Cry to death. Also, I wish you great wealth and good luck. Please start the journey of this book with your ancestors, Yu Yen, and their wives. If you have any unhappiness, feel free to express it. The distance between countries and the population may vary, after all, according to the scope set in the original work, the world of One Piece is probably not as big as the Pacific Ocean, as it is almost over. The actual sailing time of Luffy may be less than a year. Ah. In the dark room, a man with golden hair lay on the bed, groaning in pain. It was Don Quixote's head, Don Quixote da Flamingo. I saw his face look grim, his forehead covered in sweat, and then he suddenly sat up with his eyes wide open. Subconsciously, he picked up the sunglasses on the table and put them on, and then Doflamingo took a deep breath. Ha! Didn't I die? This is reborn. Don Quixote de Domingo is the world of the Pirate King. Unexpectedly turned into that Tianlong. At this moment, another soul had already been replaced in the body of Duo Flamenco. It can also be said that the soul of Duo Flamenco has been devoured by the travelers from another world, or it can be said that it has merged together. As a mercenary who has always been active on the battlefield, his psychological resilience is still much stronger than that of ordinary people. In addition, he has also watched the anime One Piece, and, Duo Flamenco, quickly accepted reality. In my past life, I was carefree and had no concept of family, so I had no regrets. I absorbed the soul of Duo Flamenco and gained many emotions that I had never experienced before. As a lonely traveler, this is a very good start. As for why did I travel, perhaps it was because I even watched One Piece on my phone before I died. But Duo Flamenco, the early rendering was so impressive, so mysterious and invincible that the villain who exploded into the sky easily became the newspaper king. It's really a pity since I have become Duo Flamenco, I cannot go to the underwater prison to read newspapers again in my life. Upon careful reflection in my mind, I realized that it was only in the year 1509 of the Hyuan calendar. My own younger brother, the traitor who died in my hands in the future, had just returned a few years ago. What surprised him the most was that he now had the ability to awaken the fruit, and he had proficiently mastered all 3 colors of dominance. So, after more than a decade, it means that one's own strength has not increased much at all. What is the situation? Are you busy with your career, neglecting your own training, or have you fully tapped your potential? At this moment, a scene flashed by, and a hint of fear involuntarily appeared on Doflamingo's face. Is that Kaido? Thundering gossip. I see. A few months ago, Kaido flew over and found Flamenco, asking him to introduce the beast pirates into the underground world as well. Although the underground world is not as complete as it was a decade ago, there are still many people joining. Feld, who will become the king of the currency industry in the future, and Dolag Picro, who is now known as the king of the killer industry, as well as Morgans, the president of the World Economic News Agency, Gibson, who has warehouses all over the world, and the most crucial transportation giant, meet. In addition, with a wide range of businesses, the Don Quixote family, which specializes in making weapons, matched them, and thus a trading platform with unlimited potential was born. Although I don't know where Kaido learned about it, Flamenco naturally wouldn't easily agree and even engaged in a fight with Kaido. Duo's reputation is well known, but the fruit has awakened, and Flamenco admits that he will not be much worse than him. But to my surprise, Kaido easily solved Flamenco with just 2 sticks. Only then did Domingo realize the gap between him and Kaido, and then a shadow fell in his heart. He believes that no matter how he trains, he cannot defeat monsters like Kaido. At this point, in one sentence, his Dao heart has been broken by Duo, but he is still quite good and can maintain his original strength. Even more tragic than him was Moonlight Moria. In the impression of Flamenco, Moria was a monster that had become famous before him, and he naturally knew how to be domineering. Looking at his later performance, it was clear that he no longer possessed the domineering aura of being beaten by Kaido, like a clown, without the courage of a great pirate, and was easily defeated by the main characters. Striving to recall the battle with Kaido, Flamenco's expression became increasingly fierce, and he couldn't help but roar. Afraid? What's so scary? What thunderous gossip? Monsters. It's just a mere domineering entanglement. He will do it. I will definitely do it too. Not now, not in the future. At the age of 20, the fruit has already awakened and the 3 colors dominance has been proficiently mastered. Is this talent really inferior to others? Give me a hard time. Failure is not scary. What's scary is that you can't accept failure. Aren't you so hateful of the heavenly dragon people? Just one Duo has drained your courage. What right do you have to seek revenge like this? Go and pull those heavenly dragon people down from the altar. Only incompetent trash can feel fear when facing failure. And the strong will only defeat it. The blood vessels on his body bulged up like earthworms, and Domingo gritted his teeth, exuding an inexplicable aura. Boom. Bang. Click. After calming his mood for a moment, Flamenco took off his broken sunglasses and threw him to the ground, stomping on him, feeling incredibly relaxed in his heart. Recalling the battle with Kaido again, it was already very peaceful. The haze dissipated, and Doflamingo looked at a messy room and muttered to himself. Is this the domineering in domineering color? Just relying on momentum can cause such great destructive power. Indeed, it's incredibly magical. Dover. What's wrong with you? Have you had nightmares again? Watching Toripole suddenly fall from the ceiling, Domingo said with a stern expression. Hello. Toripole, step back a bit. You're too close to me. Suction slip. Toripole sucked his snot back and continued to stand upside down on the ceiling, smiling at Doflamingo. By he, it seems that your domineering and domineering demeanor has become more powerful, causing this destruction. Click. Damn it. Wow. Boom. The whole room collapsed with a loud bang, and the smoke and dust dissipated. Toripole stood up from the ruins and looked at the unharmed Doflamingo, asking with some confusion. Dover, how do I feel like your strength has become stronger again? Retract the line wall blocking above him, and Doflamingo laughed loudly. Furfurin. Has it become stronger? That's for sure. Only by constantly becoming stronger can one become an absolute powerhouse. Duo Flamingo looked ahead, waves and beaches, a few coconut trees, and the Numantia flamingo, which had the same personality as himself, silently swore in his heart. Don't worry, your wish is my wish. The Newspaper King. Furfurin. Luffy. Kaido. Navy. Tianlong people. World government. Revolutionary army. Pirates. I will change my destiny. Let the world submit to my feet. Furfurin. Chapter 2. The current situation of the Don Quixote family. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Wearing a brand new pair of sunglasses, Flamenco stood on the deck, staring at the sea and daydreaming alone. The current situation of the Don Quixote family is very bad. Because the news of the underground world seemed to have been detected by the Navy, who had already sent people to monitor the Don Quixote family, the head of which was the chief of the Navy's general staff, Lieutenant General He, who had the ability to wash the fruits. Although he did not show her strength several times in the original work, it would be a big mistake to assume that her strength is not strong. Those who can fight alongside the Kappa warriors in the Navy to this day will definitely not be weak. It can only be said that compared to her strength, Crane's brain is even stronger. She made good use of her wit and sabotaged several transactions with the Don Quixote family. Either the Don Quixote family had already occupied the vast majority of underground transactions in the North Sea, with sufficient funds and even attracted many navies. She couldn't hold on any longer. In my memory, there were several times in the past 2 years when I almost caught myself. But the reason why the Navy is so successful in every operation is also thanks to his good brother. Doflamingo's eyes turned cold as he considered how to treat his younger brother. Absorbing the memories of the original body, one can feel that the original body values this younger brother very much, so after letting Virgo go undercover, the weaker Rossi Nandi became the highest cadre of the family, Corazon. However, although Rossi Nandi is the younger brother of Duo Flamenco, he treats his own brother Hihi is it the hatred that arises after discovering that I killed that so-called father. Or inherited the innocence of the father and the Virgin Mary. Or was it brainwashed after being adopted by the Warring States period? From the perspective of teaching children, the hero of the Navy, Kapu, should learn from the Warring States period. In his memory, Doflamingo hardly slept well because he also had remorse for killing his own father. The stark contrast between the death of his mother, the pain of killing his father with his own hands, and the time when he was once a member of the Tianlong people made Doflamingo's childhood hopeless. Killing the father who caused everything to happen is bidding farewell to his past self, but no matter what, he is still his own father, and Doflamingo's heart has always been in a state of hate and regret. So the character of Domingo is becoming more and more cruel and arrogant day by day, and there are also reasons for this. But now Doflamingo will not feel any regret. If it weren't for that so-called father, his mother would never have died. All the tragedies of childhood never happen. In that case, Doflamingo is still a towering dragon man. With his potential, if he obtains a good fruit, he may not necessarily stand at the pinnacle. But it can also be achieved now. After the fusion of the souls of the two individuals, Duo Flamenco could sense that their numbers of armed and domineering colors, as well as their perception in physical strength and speed, and even their reactions, all increased significantly. Although the strength of this enhancement is not very exaggerated, it is at least half as strong as before. In the past, although his body was strong, compared to those monsters, it was simply a confrontation between teenagers and adults. And now, although it may not be as good as those monsters for the time being, as long as you practice harder, even if it's not as good, it won't be much worse. Not to mention the increase in the number of armed color dominants, which is equivalent to a blue bar in a protracted battle. The most important thing is to break the heart demon of losing to Kaido, making Duo Flamenco's spirit even stronger. With Duo Flamenco's potential, he will only become stronger and stronger. There is a huge difference in talent between the strong and the weak in this world. Without talent, the weak will always be weak, while those with strong talent only need to find the right teacher, and in just 2 or 3 years, they may become one of the best experts in the world. And Domingo's talent is already extraordinary. After soul fusion and strengthening of his body, his talent is no less than that of Luffy's red-haired peers. However, to reach the pinnacle and pull the heavenly dragon man down from the altar, stepping on the world, reliable companions are needed. After all, a hero has 3 gangs, and a fence has 3 stakes. Throughout the entire Don Quixote family, besides Virgo, there are indeed many talented individuals, but most of them are those who are more than enough to compete with. Because they are not specialized in one area, they distract their energy too much, such as Pika and Diamante. Even though their talents may not be comparable to those of Doflamingo, as long as they specialize in training, they can never reach a more powerful level. However, they overestimate their own talents and practice swordsmanship while exercising their fruit abilities. The Don Quixote family does not have any powerful swordsmanship teachers, so it is already considered good that they can achieve the later level with their talents. Moreover, Diamante is still Luo's swordsmanship teacher. Although Luo's fruit ability is very strong, Luo's swordsmanship is also extraordinary. This also shows that Diamante's talent in swordsmanship is very good. However, what Domingo values the most are Derringer and Senial Peak. The former can have impressive kicking skills and powerful armed aura at the age of 16, while the latter can resist Frankie's modified body with a human body. You should know that it completely abandons defense, a hand-to-hand combat where you punch me. There is no doubt about Senial Peak's strength, and eating the fruit of that funny swimming is simply wasting his talent. In addition, the death of his son and the transformation of his wife into a vegetative person made him feel heartbroken, but he forced himself to live in this world through loyalty to his family. But now it's okay, in the impression of Duo Flamenco, Senial Peak hasn't met that woman yet, nor has he eaten that funny fruit, so he can still save her. As for Delingi, he is too young, let's take care of him first. Now all the cadres in the family have appeared, including Monet and her sister Sugar who were saved in the past 2 months, as well as recently weaned Delinger. Because of their age, Monet's sisters, who have just joined the family, have not yet eaten any devil fruit, are now living and learning on an island belonging to Don Quixote's family on the Great Channel. It's a pity to say that there have been many promising children before, but they were all beaten away by Rocinante. Later on, there was no increase in the number of officials for Duo Flamengo, and even though Bellamy was wholeheartedly following Duo Flamengo, he was not treated as his own family, perhaps due to the betrayal of Rocinante. The betrayal of his own younger brother has made Doflamingo hesitant to accept new cadres and family members. Fortunately, there is still a pair of twins with great potential who have not been beaten away by Rocinante. They are now on the ship and will definitely not be allowed to be driven away by Rocinante like in the original work. Now, Duo Flamengo has actually noticed the presence of traitors in his family, but the importance he places on these families has made him unable to believe it for a long time. The foundation of the North Sea and the Great Passage, under the care of the Navy and the secrecy of the base, is known to no one except for the 3 people of Doflamenco, Toripol, and Diamante. Rocinante is the younger brother of Doflamenco, and he doesn't want him to be exposed to these boring things too much. In addition to allowing him to carry out some non-dangerous tasks and increase his achievements, he should be stationed at the base. This is the love that Domingo has for his younger brother. But it is also this kind of brother's love for his younger brother that protects the Don Quixote family. It's really ironic. Now that we have just completed a transaction, the USS Flamingo is returning to the North Sea from the Great Passage. And Ronaldo, Baby 5, and Buffalo are currently staying in their lair with Diamante. Currently, Ronaldo has not yet formed any bonds with Ronaldo Southwest and wants to kill him every day. Furfurin, this is quite interesting. With the potential of Eloth, combined with the fruits of surgery, he will have a secure imperial and deputy combat power in the future. And his future companions, the bear, and the drake with the surgical fruit. And other newcomers to the pirates, such as Kid and Kira, these two trash combinations. With the underground power of the Don Quixote family, it should not be difficult to find them. Thinking about the sudden development of a bad interest in Duo Francisco, Luo's attitude towards Rossi Nandi is extremely hateful now, and it should not change until the second half of the year. So, what if Luo kills Luo Southwest D? Flamenco helped his sunglasses and laughed loudly. Furfurin. It seems very interesting. So my dear brother, don't let me down. Chapter 3. My innocent brother shouts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The quickest way to return to the North Sea from the Great Passage is to head to the windless zone. There is no wind all year round here, and it is a nesting place for sea kings. Ordinary pirate ships accidentally enter it, and the only outcome is destruction. But with the strength of Domingo, he naturally won't be trapped in a mere windless zone. I saw Flamenco as if he had become a pianist, his fingers trembling incessantly, and the flamingo sailing at an extremely fast speed in the windless zone. Occasionally, a huge sea king would emerge, but in an instant it turned into fragments. Excitedly, the people on board used a harpoon to pick up the largest piece of meat and pulled it up. Young master, your strength has indeed increased again. When Toripole said it, I didn't believe it yet. The young master is indeed a man born to become a king. Ha ha. Looking at the unique head shape of Leo G, Flamenco tilted his head to one side and whispered. Only by constantly strengthening oneself can one occupy a place in this era. Only in this way can I fulfill my dreams in the future. But it's not enough for me alone. I need you all. I need the help of my family. After losing to Kaido, I thought a lot. First and foremost it was about my strength. When I return to Beihai, some family matters need to be replanned and some rules need to be formulated. Flamenco looked at Toripole, who appeared next to him at an unknown time, and said very seriously. The rapid development of the family's business is due to the establishment of the underground world platform, but the prerequisite is our strength. If the strength is too weak, then even if the career is big in the future, it will only be meat on the chopping board. I can't say where the beast came from and swallowed it in one gulp. Whether now or in the future, it is actually the era of the strong. So the primary goal of the family next is to strengthen the strength of the cadres. Toripole, and your strength is not in combat, I will give you full control over your career. You need to be prepared. Watching Doflamingo flicking his fingers and talking, Toripole sniffed and laughed loudly. By he. Although saying this may hurt my self-esteem, Dover, I will support you unconditionally. Furfurin. Thank you very much, Torpole. But the first thing to do back to the North Sea. Doflamingo pulled hard, and a sea king was nowhere to be found. Then Doflamingo said in a cold voice. It's about uncovering the traitors of the family and ending the Navy's pursuit of us. A traitor. Who is it? There's a traitor in the family. It's unforgivable. Furfurin. Don't be so excited, I'll pull him out within a month of going back. As a wealthy member country, the Navy of the Nordic Kingdom in the North Sea cannot land in this country without receiving distress messages. The headquarters of the Don Quixote family is a small town in this country called Current, so even if the Navy knows, they will not take any action. There are many kings in this world who collude with pirates, whether it is the Four Seas or the New World. After all, the reputation of some great pirates is much better than that of the Navy in some aspects. The Navy and pirates are inherently opposed. Even if they do not plunder cities, the Navy will still capture pirates, and the relationship between pirates and pirates is even more blatant. The weak pirate dares to provoke a powerful pirate group, and the end result is death. The flag of the world pirate represents the face of a pirate group. If a small town or port hanging the flag of the Don Quixote family is robbed by pirates, then it is blatantly against the Don Quixote family. And now the most powerful pirate group in the North Sea is naturally the Don Quixote family. The Kingdom of Nordisk exchanged some land for the protection of the Don Quixote family, which is a very worthwhile transaction. As soon as the pink Numancia Flamingo docked, Domingo saw his family welcoming him. Rocinante, wearing a black feather coat, stood first, with Diamante and Pica taking a step behind him, followed by Pique and others. And at the back, there is little Luo wearing a spotted hat, as well as the young baby Five and Buffalo. It seems like there hasn't been much going on lately, all the members of the family have arrived. After watching Flamenco step off the ship, a group of people spoke in unison. Dover. Young master. Welcome back. Duo Flamenco nodded and glanced at Rocinante, who was more than a head taller than him, before waving to the back. Two tall twins with identical looks came down, and Domingo shouted. In the future, the Hardy and Burton brothers will live here, and they are also our family. Okay. We have new companions again. Baby Five and Buffalo were both very happy, and Luo disdainfully rolled his eyes. As for Rocinante, after glancing at the two, he suddenly walked up to them and kicked them. Bang! Ah! Hiss! It hurts so much. What are you doing? Although Hardy and Burton are young, they are already close to 2 meters tall. However, compared to Rocinante, who is over 4 meters tall, they are still too short. Rocinante's fierce kicks one after another have frightened Baby Five and Buffalo. Luo looked at Rocinante with hatred in his eyes and gritted his teeth, saying, "That bastard. You guys run. Mr. Corallin hates children very much." At the reminder of Baby Five, Hardy and Burton wanted to stand up and escape, but Rocinante seemed to be crazy until they kicked each other and spat out blood, continuing to exert force. All right. Rocinante. Stop it. Bang. Seeing Duo Flamenco blocking his leg, Rocinante pretended to disgust and glanced at the two before turning around and leaving. Brother. How are you doing? We're not staying here anymore. There's a lunatic here. Hardy and Burton, who were still children, were fiercely kicked by Rocinante, and their hearts were already filled with fear. Flamenco held their heads together and whispered a few words before they stopped crying. They looked at Flamenco in surprise. Dofran nodded and stood up, saying, "All right. Baby Five, take them down and arrange them in the room next to you. Let the others disband. Let's take a few days off before we talk." "Yes. Young master." Duo Francisco returned to the entrance of the small town and shook his head gently as he looked at Rocinante standing beside him in a daze. "My foolish little brother shouted. It seems that you are seeking your own death. No matter where, betrayal is not allowed." Rocinante seemed to have a feeling in his heart and turned his head to look at Flamenco. Flamenco grinned at him and continued walking forward. Chapter 4. Whoever betrays their family dies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Over the past few days, Domingo's aura has been constantly on. One reason is that this is also a way to exercise the aura of seeing, hearing, and color. In the future, Katakali will use the aura of seeing, hearing, and color excessively to activate the divine skill of predicting the future. The second reason is that Duo Flamenco has been monitoring Rocinante's every move with a domineering aura of seeing and hearing. He really wanted to know if Rocinante had any other accomplices in the Don Quixote family, and a few days later he finally gained something. Watching two minions dressed in black standard clothes communicating with Rocinante, Flamenco slowly walked outside the door. "It's so close, you're really on guard." Coincidentally, I had been staring at him with a domineering aura of seeing and hearing. Otherwise, when Luo Zindi's fruit ability opened up, I wouldn't have heard what they were saying and wouldn't have noticed it. The improvement in strength made Rocinante, who was already not strong, completely unaware. After the three of them parted ways, Doflamingo suddenly appeared in front of the two minions. Puff. Before they could speak, a string of silk thread pierced through their lips, and then drifted in mid-air before being taken to an underground cell by Doflamingo. Called Diamandi over. Yes. Young master. After a while, Diamandi walked in with a confused expression on her face and looked at Doflamingo, asking. Dover, this is. They are the Navy. Diamandi, interrogate them carefully. Doflamingo looked up at him and said. One more thing, Rossi Nandi is a traitor. What? That bastard. Damn it. How dare you betray the family? Don't be impatient. Doflamingo released the thread that had wrapped around the two of them and said expressionlessly. Your next task is to interrogate them and see if our family has any naval infiltration. As for Rossi Nandi, just hand him over to me. After the interrogation is over, come find me. Okay. Dover. In the past few days, Hardy and Bolton have become new targets for Rasandi's attacks, and Luo has also become much more relaxed. However, looking at Rossi Nandi's cold expression, Luo still secretly swore that one day he would retaliate against him. And finally, the opportunity came. One day, Rossi Nandi was sitting in the garbage dump reading a newspaper. Luo touched the dagger in his hand and quietly touched it. Discovering that Rossi Nandi was not aware at all, Luo was overjoyed and without hesitation stabbed in. Dang! What is it? Something invisible blocked the cut, and Luo turned his head in surprise. Doflamingo. Call me young master. Luo. Behind Doflamingo stood all the officials of the Don Quixote family, even Baby 5 and a few little ghosts, which made Rosandi feel a bit uneasy. Furfurin. My dear brother, what a bitter trick. Let Luo stab himself, and then you're hiding this from him to influence him. Let my future Red Heart commander, the third generation Karalan, separate from me and then leave with you. Although Rossi Nandi was taken aback when he heard Doflamingo's words, he still pretended to have a puzzled expression and frowned. However, the next sentence from Duo Flamenco made Rossi's body involuntarily tremble. Roxindi, no. I think, what should I call you? By the way. Xiao Miguel. Isn't it? Looking at Rossi Nandi, who had lost his facial expression control, Doflamingo laughed loudly. Furfurin. What a satire. I have a blood relationship with my younger brother, who shares the same father and mother, and surprisingly became an undercover agent in the Don Quixote family by the Navy. Luoxindi, you really disappoint me. Surprisingly betraying your family. Shut up. You're not allowed to mention your father. At this point, Rossi Nandi no longer pretended to be mute and shouted loudly at Doflamingo. Family. What family? From the moment you killed your father with your own hands, I saw through you. You are a born demon. After listening to Rossi Nandi's accusation, Doflamingo shook his head in extreme disappointment and said. Devil. Do you hate me because of my father's death? Although this is understandable, it is also foolish. My foolish younger brother, it was actually him who killed his father. You can't even see through this, no wonder you were easily brainwashed by the Warring States period. Humph. A born demon. Ha. Doflamingo sneered and looked disdainfully at Rossi Nandi, saying. As a husband and father, due to my own choices, I have transformed from a towering Tianlong person to a street mouse that everyone shouts and fights against. Those slaves who used to kneel before us, civilians who could be executed at will, but they vented their anger towards the Tianlong people on us recklessly. And he still doesn't have the ability to support his family, always holding a Virgin Mary's heart and giving speeches everywhere, insisting on peaceful coexistence with those scumbags. Completely forgetting the responsibility of the head of the family, like an innocent child. But we need to eat. What were we doing back then? Picking up trash to make a living. Compete with evil dogs for food. Search for survival supplies in the stench. Because of our father. It caused our mother's death, and he and we were almost burned alive by hanging on the city wall. This is a husband. Can a father do something? The more he spoke, the more excited he became. The painful scenes of his childhood appeared before him, making his eyes bloodshot. Shut up. This is not a reason for you to kill him. He is also our father no matter what he says. We are his sons, that's why we are Tianlong people. So it's not wrong for my father to want to give up his identity as a Tianlong person. Puff. Rossi Nandi knelt down on the ground with his shoulder covered, and Doflamingo slowly walked up to him, saying word by word. Firstly, our identity as Tianlong people was acquired by our ancestors. He is not qualified to replace us and give up. Because of him, our mother passed away. Secondly, if it weren't for me, you would have been burned alive by then. Whoosh. Whoosh. Puff. Transparent silk thread pierced through Rossi Nandi's limbs, and as he looked at his brother who was firmly controlled by him, a cruel look appeared in his eyes. Luo Southwest D, without me, your grave grass wouldn't even know how high it is. Being adopted by the Warring States period and betraying the family. Because you leaked the information, we won't mention the property lost by our family, and the cadres have also been injured. Even if you are my younger brother, you must abide by the rules of the family. No matter who it is. Those who betray their family will die. Speaking of which, Domingo looked at Luo and pointed at Rossi Nandi, saying, Luo. Aren't you hating his bullying? Aren't you going to destroy this world, destroy everything? Let me see your determination. Chapter 5. Mental health equally important. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing Domingo's words, Luo walked over to Rossi Nandi with a dagger. Rossi wanted to smile at Luo, but found himself unable to move and couldn't even make a sound. The voice of Domingo reached his ears. I'm sorry, I don't have the mood for a guy who has been brainwashed by the Navy to instill any bad ideas in my family. In this cannibalistic world, the division between justice and evil is inherently vague. I don't care about anyone except my family. Unfortunately, you gave up. Luo. Is that all you have in mind? Upon hearing Doflamingo's urging, Luo clenched his dagger, closed his eyes, and fiercely stabbed it. Pushi. Very good. Doflamingo turned around and shouted loudly. Hardy. Bolton. Baby 5. Buffalo. Didn't he keep complaining to me about his bullying towards you? Let's do it. Luo. Lend the dagger to them for use. Baby 5 and Buffalo snuggled together with pale faces, while Hardy and Burton, although also a little scared, hesitated for a few seconds before the two brothers walked firmly to Luo's side. Then, as the older brother, Hardy took the dagger and stabbed it fiercely, while Burton took the dagger and mercilessly stabbed it. Watching Rossi Nandi bleeding from the corner of his mouth, Baby 5 and Buffalo walked slowly over. Under the gaze of everyone, the two also gathered the courage to pick up daggers and stab them one after another. However, compared to Hardy and Burton, their actions were much lighter, and Doflamingo didn't pay much attention. He waved his hand and let the few of them step aside. My family, remember everything today. The Don Quixote family will never show mercy towards traitors. No matter who he is. In my eyes, you are my true family in this world. I can only rely on you in the future. Young master. Doflamingo turned around and whispered, after all, it's my younger brother, so I'll leave him to you to solve. Yes. Diamante pulled out the soft sword that served as a belt and walked up to Roxindi, loudly rebuking him. As a member of the family, Corallin surprisingly betrayed the family. It's really unforgivable. Rossandi. Die. Puff. Diamantite cleanly pierced through Rosinhandy's throat, and it wasn't until then that Rosinhandy regained control of his body and quickly fell into a pitch-black world. After pausing in his footsteps, Duo Flamenco silently said to himself, "Goodbye, foolish brother. May you become smarter in your next life." Then Duo Flamenco looked ahead and continued to walk forward. "No one can stop my path. Those who are not loyal to me are the enemy." Since each of the children gave a knife to Rosinhandy and witnessed his death, it seemed like they had truly become companions, and there was no longer any distance between them. At this moment, they looked at Duo Flamenco sitting in the garbage dump, gazing at the sea, and whispered, "What is the young master doing? He must have missed Lord Corallin. After all, that's his younger brother." "Shut up. Baby 5. That's a traitor," Luo said with a fierce expression. "Didn't you hear what the young master said? No matter who it is, traitors will never be forgiven." "How fierce. Woo-woo." Seeing Baby 5 pout again, Luo turned his head to the side with great helplessness. Upon hearing Baby 5's crying, Duo Flamenco turned around and whispered, "You little devils don't train and study well, what are you doing here?" Hardy, who had a relatively calm personality, quickly said, "Young master. Now is our break time. We felt bored and wanted to come here to search for some treasures." "Treasure?" Doflamingo was stunned for a moment, but soon realized that it was a child's game and smiled, saying, "Hee, really? Then you should work hard to find the treasure." As Duo Flamenco stood up to leave, Luo Chi hesitated for a moment and asked loudly, "Young master, after all, Kolong is your younger brother. Aren't you sad?" Without looking back, some deep voices rang in the ears of a few people. "Brother. This world is a world of cannibalism. Even if it's family, what can we do? You're still young, and although you all have painful memories, there's still too much darkness in this world that you've never seen before. Have you ever seen the father who sold his daughter to a slave merchant? Killed his brothers and sisters for a fortune? Gamblers who gamble and lose everything, gamblers who sell their wives and children. To sacrifice one's own wife for the sake of life. A coward who leaves behind one's own child. Parents who are too hungry to survive and have eaten their own children. Wait. In this world, blood is nothing more than that. For me, my loved ones are you, and my family is also you. Consistency in thought and loyal companionship are far more important than blood or anything else. You are still young now, perhaps you don't understand. But I ask you to remember one thing. Since the day you joined the Don Quixote family, we have been true family. Because from now on, behind you stand the Don Quixote family. But if you want to become our true family, you need to train hard. Little ghosts. The Don Quixote family doesn't raise idle people. Luo. I have already contacted the doctor and he will come to treat you. And I have also received a message, a demonic fruit that can cure this disease in you. So, live hard. Only by living can you always follow me. Furfurin. Watching Doflamingo leave, none of them spoke. Luo secretly swore in his heart that if he were alive, he would always be loyal to Doflamingo. A few unfamiliar men slowly stepped off the ship and looked at the guards of the Don Quixote family beside them, their faces becoming even more fearful. Torpol asked with some confusion. Dover, those two skilled doctors are treating Luo, I know that, but what do these two so-called psychologists do? Finding these two doctors can be very troublesome. Both of them are doctors from franchise countries and specialize in serving the nobility. If it weren't for us hiding our identities and spending a lot of money, they wouldn't have come. Furfurin. Doflamenco looked at several doctors and said. Toripol, both physical and mental health are equally important. Simply killing to vent one's desires will only make people even crazier. Arrange a few women for them to start a family as soon as possible and let them join our family. If there are family members, also take them over together. After finishing speaking, Flamenco walked up to a few people and opened his speaking hand, shouting loudly. A few doctors, welcome to the Don Quixote family. As you can see, we are all pirates. Please adapt to your identity as soon as possible. Furfurin. Chapter 6. What is powerful is never fruit, but man. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Several doctors were all ordinary people. Faced with the threat of beauty, money, and an extended gun, they quickly decided to join the Don Quixote family. 2 doctors examined Luo's body, and although no effective treatment was achieved, it was still able to slow down the spread of lead poisoning on Luo's body. And those 2 psychologists, after a few days of adaptation, quickly took up their posts, and Luo and Baby 5 were their regulars. Luo's heart was filled with slaughter due to his tragic experience, and he needed to be slowly comforted, otherwise he would really become a terrifying madman in the future. Doflamingo also followed the doctor's advice and brought Luo by his side. Baby 5, on the other hand, has developed an irresistible personality due to its tragic past experiences, which is known as a pleasing personality, and it is also a very serious type. If it cannot be cured, it will be an indefinite bomb for the Don Quixote family. Any man can have sex with her, not to mention, but also worry about whether anyone has taken some family information from her mouth. This possibility is very high, otherwise Baby 5 would easily fall in the face of Lao Kai. This is a personality flaw that she cannot control, so her illness must be cured. As for the other children, it's not bad. Buffalo is playful and likes to slack off, while Hardy and Bolton are 2 brothers. Hardy's older brother is more calm, while Bolton's younger brother is a social bully who is more reckless and often gets beaten up by his brother. Since Rossi Nandi is dead, Doflamingo ordered Monet and Sugar to be sent here as well. With just weaned Delinger, the island was filled with laughter and joy all day long, but it was no longer as dull as before. Monet is 16 years old. He admires the sisters who saved her. He also intends to cultivate her and has found many teachers for her. It's just about business, some business matters. In the future, Domingo will gradually delegate power, and the highest official of the family, Torpol, and Monet, who never betrayed him until his death in the original work, are the best candidates. And Monet's combat ability is not very strong. As the new year approaches, documents from various places have been transmitted through telephone worms. Although being chased and blocked by the Navy, the family's business has been improving year by year, especially after working with Kaido this year. Because Kaido can provide a large amount of sea tower stones of various purities, they are hard currency in this world. In the past, Hai Lu Shi could only flow out through the country of He. Since the country of He closed off and lost contact with the outside world a few years ago, Hai Lu Shi has completely lost its source. It can be imagined how large the market would be when Doflamingo traded the sea-building stones. With just a small set of shackles, powerful individuals could lose their resistance, which both the country and the powerful pirate group could imagine. Even the world government and navy were in great need. However, during this period, Doflamingo did not engage in any trade with the navy. Knowing the secret that the original navy was able to sail in the windless zone, Doflamingo has sent people to install seafloor stones on several ships, slightly modified them, to facilitate the transportation of weapons and goods through the windless zone. However, this also has a small probability of danger, and usually officials will personally escort it. Doflamingo knew that long-term exposure to sea-floor stones would produce great resistance and enhance his physical strength, so he specially made several pairs of shackles. It's not that you don't want to make jewelry like rings, but the sea tower stone is extremely sturdy, and making shackles is actually the easiest. Later, you can slowly carve them into various jewelry. A few capable individuals each have a pair of hands, even Baby 5 and Buffalo, and they will wear them on their bodies when nothing happens, working hard to train. Diamante and his team have always unconditionally followed the orders of Doflamingo, so recently, the cadres have started to train crazily. The new year in this world is similar to the previous life, and the winter in the North Sea is even colder, with heavy snow falling like goose feathers on the ground. In this weather, most pirates would not go out to sea, and the main officials of the Don Quixote family rushed back to spend the new year together. Doflamingo rested his legs on the table and waited for the children of Luo to come in before standing up and saying, "You should know that about half a year ago, Kaido approached me and I had a battle with him, but I only persisted for 2.5 points before being defeated by him. And he only made 2 moves. It wasn't until then that I understood the difference between me and those truly strong people." Several officials were aware of the disastrous defeat of Duo Flamengo to Kaido, so they did not speak. Only Luo and his children were surprised because Duo Flamengo was synonymous with strength in the North Sea. The reason why the Don Quixote family has developed so rapidly and become the absolute king of the underground world in the North Sea is mainly due to the strength of Doflamingo. During this period of time, Luo and Hadi have also witnessed the action of Duo Flamengo. In their eyes now, Duo Flamengo's strength is beyond doubt, but such a strong Duo Flamengo persisted in the hands of Kai Duo for less than 3 minutes before losing. Are you joking? Will such a powerful young master also lose? Is Kaido really that powerful? Who is Kaido? As he watched the crowd discussing, Doflamingo shouted loudly. "Be quiet. Don't be so surprised. There are countless strong people in this world, and the North Sea is just a relatively weak place. The Great Passage, after the New World, is where our Don Quixote family will go. It's normal for me to lose to Kaido. Living in the North Sea all year round, and considering myself invincible, after this failure, I can also be considered to have witnessed the true top-level power of this world. I used to be like sitting in a well and observing the sky. In the future, I will focus all my energy on improving my strength." Doflamingo looked around the conference room and turned his gaze to the children led by Luo. "Lo. Hardy. Your children's potential, in my opinion, is very strong. So in the days to come, I will double your training. If you can't bear the hardship, I allow you to leave the family now." No one in the group of Luo said a word, but they looked steadfastly at Doflamingo. "Very good." Doflamingo nodded in satisfaction and said, "Since you are not afraid of hardship, I will perfectly tap into your potential. Luo, no later than this time next year, I will find the devil's fruit that can heal you. Hardy. Bowen, you have a strong talent in physical arts. After the new year, I will make a detailed exercise plan for you. Baby 5, Buffalo, and Monet. You can also train your stamina together. And sugar. If you're lazy again, don't want to eat grapes. Don't forget, most demon fruit abilities rely on abundant physical strength and strong willpower. Without physical strength and willpower as a backing, even if you are given a powerful demon fruit, you cannot unleash its strength. I am a living example. Do you think the fruit of the thread is very strong? Because it's in my hands. Zhen Zhenghua is known as the strongest superhero series because he is in the hands of the strongest man in the world. Powerful is never a demonic fruit. It's a person. I want you to remember my failure this time. Always understand the truth that only by being strong can we break all restraints. Protect our families. Chapter 7. Reform. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As he watched the excited children, Doflamingo waved his hand at them and looked at Torpol beside him. Torpol slowly handed out the documents in his hand. All right, that's all for your training. Next, I want to announce some things. Domenico looked around the crowd and said word by word. Regarding the reform of the family. Reform. What reform is Dover? Looking at Diamante with a bewildered expression on his face, Doflamingo whispered. Although the family has developed rapidly in recent years, there are also many drawbacks. And Rossi Nandi doesn't know how much information has been leaked to the Navy, which is also a hidden danger. The most important thing is that our strength is still too weak. Whether it's me, you, or members of the lower-level family, my strength is enough in Beihai, but it's far behind in the New World. You have also been with me and know the strength of those people. If a family wants to go far and become stronger, there are only 3 points. Strength. Strength. It's still strength. Flamenco looked at the crowd with some excitement and said, so, after pondering for a while, I decided to reform my family. Take a look at the files in your hands. These are the new departments that the family will add in the future. In addition to the 4 armies currently in charge of combat, I have also added the Ma Army dedicated to intelligence and analysis, the Eagle Squad for rapid support, and the Snake Squad for protection and assassination. Among them, Ma Jun is now composed of intelligence and commercial personnel, controlled by Torpol, while the other 2 teams will be slowly recruited by me in the future. The candidates for both the Eagle and Snake teams will be the elites among the elites. I will vigorously collect demon fruits with flying ability and form an Eagle team. And recruit various experts with unique skills to form a Snake team. Of course, we will also choose children with potential everywhere for cultivation, and those children will be temporarily managed by Luo. And these 2 teams are currently under my control. In addition, the combat department and commercial department will be divided in the future. Division. Looking at the bewildered crowd, Flamenco nodded and emphasized. That's right. It's just division. The execution of the family's tasks now, whoever has the time to go, and the management below is also very chaotic. This won't happen again in the future. In the future, the combat department will be in charge of combat and training, and all matters related to transactions with the underground world, and the commercial department will be handed over to Toripol for management. As Torpol's deputy, Monet's family will cultivate some business talents in the future. The commander-in-chief of Ma Jun is Toripol. In the future, he will be known as the king of horses in his family. Since Torpol is in charge of the horse army, there is no need for Torpol to serve as the commander of the Plum Blossom Army. Rao Ji will take over the management first. In addition, including the current 4 major armies, as well as the Eagle and Snake Squad, the future leaders will be selected based on their strength. However, Diamantai, Pika, Toripol, and although Vilgo's name was not mentioned, Diamantai and others knew that Doflamingo was referring to him. You 4 will always be the highest officials in your family. There's no need to worry about this. But if I want to become the Pirate King, I need to have strong strength. The strength of the family is also very important, and the competition for leadership can also increase the enthusiasm of other cadres. Do you have any objections to this? Diamantai first made a statement, shook her head, and said. Since it's Dover's order, then I have to accept it. Duo Flamenco grinned and said. Furfurin. Diamandi, I trust you very much. I believe that as long as you train well, no one can take away the title of the square from your hands. Upon hearing Doflamingo's praise, Diamantai humbly said. Where, I feel that my strength is not enough, and there may be even stronger family members in the future. No, I think your potential is very strong. As long as you train hard, you can definitely become the strongest cadre in your family. No, I'm still far behind. Doflamenco nodded and whispered, okay, since you're saying that. Before Duo Flamenco could finish speaking, Diamantai shouted loudly. Then I'll admit it. You're right. Indeed, with my potential, as long as I work hard, I can definitely become the strongest cadre in my family. Very good. Toripol has promised to take over the business department and leave the combat department, so naturally there will be no objections. Although Pika is the highest official in the family, he has never opposed orders from Doflamenco, and due to his voice, he rarely expresses his opinions and nods in agreement. Doflamenco continued speaking to Pika and Diamantai. When trading with the beast pirates, I met their officials, among whom Kaido referred to as their right-handed one. The power of flame disaster ashes was very strong. But I don't think your two talents will be much different from him. Next, I hope you will carefully consider your main combat methods, fruit ability and swordsmanship, and must specialize in one. However, my suggestion for this is that Diamante specializes in swordsmanship, while Pika, you should give up swordsmanship in the future and focus on fruit abilities. Diamante spent too much time on fruit development, but compared to his swordsmanship, fruit development is simply not worth mentioning. With fruit ability as a supplement and swordsmanship as the main focus, creating your own swordsmanship is the foundation of your future strength. On the other hand, Pika and Diamante are exactly the opposite. You have spent too much time on swordsmanship, and although you have gained some, it has delayed your development of fruits. Next, I will guide you in the direction of fruit development. You can focus on fruit development. Of course, whether it's fruit ability or swordsmanship, the most fundamental thing is our body. Only the comprehensive improvement of physical fitness can drive high-speed growth in other areas. Seeing Pika and Diamante's pensive expression on their faces, Doflamingo waved his hand and said, "Of course, this is not something that can be achieved in a short period of time. You will need to spend time training. Next, there's one more thing. In the future, the family will recruit elites from all walks of life, especially scientists. The power of science is very important for the development of our weapons, and using the power of science to create weapons or tools may be unexpectedly powerful. Leave this matter to Toripol. And the last thing is." After a moment of contemplation, Duo Flamengo spoke up and said, "In the future, the family will allocate 20% of its annual income to the lower-level members of the family, as well as those middle and lower-level cadres. In the future, members who join the family will be counted for their background and home address. For anyone who dies due to family matters, we will give them a bailey that is enough to ensure that their family has no worries about food and clothing. If possible, we can prioritize recruiting members' families as workers in some formal industries that we will vigorously develop in the future, such as sunglasses factories, distilleries, and so on." After finishing this sentence, Toripol frowned and said, "Hey, Dover, but this will be a very large amount of funds that will slow down our development, and the bottom-tier pirates, if they die, should we continue recruiting? We're not a navy, why treat them so favorably?" Furfurin. Duo Flamenco laughed a few times and said, "Since they are loyal to me, I will naturally repay them. Strong strength may capture people's hearts, but only when interests are tied together can they become more loyal. As for development, don't worry. The temporary effort is for the family to grow faster in the future. That's settled. Monet is in charge of this matter, and Ma Jun's personnel will be dispatched by you to establish a new department." Doflamingo took out red wine, poured it for Torpol and the others, and then filled it with juice for the children of Ro. He raised his glass and said, "So, the future of the Don Quixote family. It's up to everyone. Young master. Cheers." Chapter 8. Planning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Due to differences in local customs, the festivals of different countries are not the same. Some large powers also have their own special festivals, and the Don Quixote family does not have any special festivals. They only gather together to hold a grand banquet on the occasion of the New Year in Beihai. On the big screen, the video phone worm plays the singing of the singers, like a television from a past life. Fragrant wine, delicious food, and sexy beauties performing spicy dances. Thousands of pirates roared excitedly. Domenico also performed a beautiful piano piece. On this year's stage, a few new steel pipes have been added, which has excited the rough pirates. Beauties have always been abundant in the Don Quixote family, and the slave industry is also an important business for the Don Quixote family at present. Don't assume that slaves are all illegally captured. The composition of slaves can be divided into three parts. One is the illegal capture by the slave hunting team, and the other is the losers in war, such as the battles between countries or between pirates. The wise winners will sell those losers. And the last and largest part of the slaves were actually self-sold. Either to survive for his wife, children, or to escape death. In this world full of oppression, becoming a slave may not be a bad thing for commoners living at the bottom. The New Year's banquet ended in a noisy and joyful atmosphere. The time has come to the year 1510 in the Hyuan calendar. Looking at Pique, who was somewhat puzzled in front of him, Doflamingo whispered. "Pique, you have been in the family for several years now. I won't doubt your loyalty, so I think we will vigorously promote you in the future. You've been following me for the past 2 years, no need to go out and carry out missions." Doflamingo patted his shoulder and said. "You have extraordinary potential in physical skills, and it's a waste of your talent to have you perform those tedious tasks. I will work hard to teach you in the past 2 years, and if possible, I will find a demon fruit of a phantom beast for you. Your future is the backbone of your family. Young master." Pique looked at Doflamingo with tears in his eyes, so excited that he didn't know what to say. It took Pique a long time to calm his excitement and watch as Doflamingo said word by word. "Young master. I will always follow you. Become the shield in your hands. Furfurin. Pique. I don't need a shield. What I need is a sharp sword that can cut everything off. So come on." Due to being unintentionally saved by Doflamingo, Senior Pique chose to join the Don Quixote family. He valued his emotions and righteousness, and Doflamingo naturally did not want him to repeat the experience in the original work. A woman who does not accept the identity of a pirate. Love. Love is a stumbling block on the road to strength. Pique looked at a room full of women scratching their heads at him, blushing as he looked at Doflamingo. Pique. If you want to be strong, first and foremost, restrain your desires in your heart. You need to understand a truth. Women are not family to us, they are just playthings. Of course, I am not against love either. After all, a sincere love is the most beautiful relationship in the world, and love can also become family. But we are pirates. Love is something that requires the other party to identify with your identity first. So, Pique, always stay awake. If you like a woman, first tell her your pirate identity. If she doesn't accept it, just use the pirate's method. If you can't get her heart, you also need to get her people. At least there's no regret in this way. In fact, if you have experienced more, you will know that women are actually similar. Enjoy it. Young master, I. Bang. Looking at Pique with a flushed face, Doflamingo kicked and shouted at the women. You must treat him well. If he can still get off the ship, I will hold you accountable. Don't worry, young master. There is no straight thing going out of our sisters' room. Various advanced training instruments arrived on the island through various channels, and the Don Quixote family began a training frenzy. Doflamingo pondered how the family should move forward next. The fruit of the surgery has appeared, and after becoming a pirate, former Naval Lieutenant Colonel Dias Bareilles obtained this fruit and became in contact with Doflamingo. Without the pursuit of cranes, this will definitely bring the trading time of surgical fruits much earlier. But he wanted to sell it to the world government or navy through himself, and naturally he wanted to buy it and give it to Luo. According to the original work, if nothing unexpected happens, this fruit will definitely fall into my own hands. Just this fruit, both the navy and the world government want him, and I need to pay more attention to it. After the fruit arrives, I will have to hide Luo for a few more years before we can talk. Suo Xinglua is still young, even if he eats the surgical fruit, besides treating his illness, he only exercises his body. But in Virgo, Doflamingo had a different idea. Virgo has rarely made moves in the past, only when facing strong enemies. Moreover, Virgo never leaves a living mark when making moves, so almost no one except for the family knows about him. He was also assigned to the navy for this reason. Vilgo has powerful physical skills and is a domineering genius. In terms of armed dominance, even the former Doflamingo is not as powerful as him. If we follow the plot of the original work, Vilgo will become a naval lieutenant general in a decade with the help of his family. However, Domingo did not want to be like the original work, allowing Vilgo to revolve around the Don Quixote family for promotion. Vilgo should have a brighter future. For example, go to the Navy's elite training camp. Admiral Black Wrist Zifa, apprentice. Zifa is an absolute powerhouse of physical skills and domineering aura, and his experience is extremely precious. With Vilgo's talent, if he goes, he will definitely be highly valued. In terms of Zifa's network, if Virgo's strength is strong enough, he may not become the new naval general after the Top War. If you want to do it, do it. Domingo transformed into Spider-Man, relying on the white clouds to constantly leap. North Sea Base 77 is the unit where Vilgo is stationed. The base commander here is one of the sailors who completely defected to the Don Quixote family. However, the connection between Doflamenco and them has always been very secretive. Rossi Nandi is undercover in the Don Quixote family, and his main purpose is actually to obtain a list of naval officers who collude with Doflamenco. However, even he did not know Vilgo's true identity. In order to ensure Vilgo's absolute safety, Doflamingo even killed some navies who had seen Vilgo. At this moment, through the contact of the telephone worm, Vilgo arrived at the back mountain outside the base late at night. After telling Vilgo about the Zifa training camp, Vilgo fell silent for a moment and whispered. "I understand. But here in the family. You don't have to worry about family matters anymore." Doflamenco stared at Vilgo and said very seriously. "There is no problem with your identity, so next you need to demonstrate your strength and talent. You don't have to grow too fast, but within 2 years, you must qualify to go to training camp. Here is a card. If you need money, go and get it yourself. But after going to the training camp, you need to give it your all and get Zifa's attention. It's best to try to stay in the training camp. With his strength and network, he will be of great help to you in all aspects. You can show your ambition in front of him appropriately. If you have enough strength, a naval general can also do it. So next, the family will no longer have any connection with you. Until you become a powerful general." Vilgo nodded and said firmly. "Okay. Dover. I got it. So much care. You're the same." Chapter 9. The Secret of the Tianlong People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Without the tip-off from Rossi Nandi, there would be less pursuit by the Navy. The Don Quixote family also kept a low profile under the command of Doflamingo. Under the cover of some navies and certain countries, Doflamenco also established many legitimate and compliant factories. As for the workers, some are family members of pirates and some are family members of the Navy. Whether it's pirate or Navy, most people's families are not very good, otherwise they wouldn't have joined these two high-risk professions. For the sake of dreams and upholding justice. That kind of person is also present, but after all, it is still a minority. They are all ordinary people who can't afford to eat anymore. How can they have such a high level of consciousness? As for why a pirate family can openly establish a factory without being investigated, of course, it is some hidden rules in this world. Franchising countries have great autonomy, and the Sky Gold is not for free. Fishman Island is also protected by the white-bearded pirates, and the relationship between the Kingdom of Time and the red-headed pirates is also very different. Among non-franchised countries, Doflamenco also selected several remote locations where pirates often visited and built many factories. The people of non-franchised countries are the lowest level in this world. They have no human rights and will not be protected by the Navy. The upper class must accept oppression from the ruling class, while the lower class must endure plundering by pirates. And just hanging the flag of the Don Quixote family can eliminate the hidden danger of pirates, and those who are not members of the franchise naturally agree with both hands. As for the king who disagrees, the world government and navy will not care about their life or death. When people are in despair, whoever can save them is the greatest benefactor. The Revolutionary Army is able to develop and grow stronger, and these non-member countries have also played a significant role in helping. Domingo was just doing the same thing, the difference being that he did not display the banner of revolution. This kind of country is an excellent construction site for illegal factories. The chaotic non-franchised countries only need to provide them with enough food, they are a group of very obedient workers. And they don't care whether they make toy guns or real guns just to fill their stomachs. The foundation of the Don Quixote family has been slowly planned by Doflamingo. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, summer had already arrived. For over half a year, everything went smoothly as expected by Duo Flamenco. The transaction in the underground world went very smoothly, and the psychological therapy between Luo and Baby 5 gradually took effect. And we have increased our efforts to purchase fruits and also obtained several demon fruits. The demonic fruit that can swim anywhere in the original work, as well as the playful fruit and snow fruit, were also obtained by Doflamenco. There are also 2 ordinary animal demon fruits, which Doflamenco kept. Everything in the family is on track, and next we need an identity to protect the family's foundation, which is Kaweihai. I learned from my memory that Doflamingo had long been eyeing the position of the 7 martial seas. And I also contacted Wulooxing several times for this, but they were all rejected. The collusion between the Don Quixote family and naval officers has already made the Navy realize that whether it is sending Rossandi as an undercover agent or letting Crane personally pursue them, it shows the Navy's determination to deal with the Don Quixote family. After all, the Navy is still the most powerful in this world. If he really puts his heart into dealing with the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo doesn't believe that with the current strength of the family, he can hold on for long. So the position of the 7 martial seas is crucial for the Don Quixote family. As for the Navy's response to the Don Quixote family, it must have been tacitly approved by the world government, so Doflamingo had previously, unintentionally, revealed a secret he knew about the Tianlong people to warn them. In the future, Duo Flamengo kidnapped the heavenly gold and even revealed this secret to threaten the 5 old stars, which is also a helpless move. Because he never expected that even if he hijacked the heavenly gold, the 5 old stars would not agree for him to become the 7 martial seas. That's why I exposed my bottom card. The secret is not complicated, it's about the heavenly king Uranus. As one of the 3 ancient weapons known as the god, Uranus, the heavenly king, was closely related to the establishment of the Tianlong people. This is equivalent to a nuclear bomb in this world, and the significance of deterrence outweighs its practical value. As for the target of deterrence, for example, the Navy, such as those powerful allied countries. The reason why the Tianlong people have become one of the gods in this world is that they have the right to erase everything, and the existence of the heavenly king Uranus is crucial. The underworld king disappears, but the sea king does not emerge. Who can compete with him? But what if Uranus, the heavenly king, is not invincible? Is there a weakness? If this news is known to some people, will it have some extremely terrifying consequences? For example, a dragon or a navy. From the original work, it can be seen that the relationship between the Navy and the world government is not so harmonious. Whether in the Warring States period or later becoming a naval marshal, Sakaski had great opinions about world governments. The Navy also has a sword force that is unknown to governments around the world. And Long used to be a navy, why did he suddenly establish a revolutionary army? Is it related to the Navy? Doflamingo is unaware of this, but they must be aware of the existence of the heavenly king Uranus. That's why the Navy ignored the actions of the Tianlong people and even actively became their accomplices. Let the justice behind oneself be like a joke. Because they don't have the strength to resist. That's why the 5 old stars have always tolerated the unreasonable demands of Du Flamenco in the original work. As a member country, de Res Rosa was seized by Mingo, and the world government ignored it. Even if Kawehai cancels such a thing, it can be retracted under the pretext of misleading pirates. If Domingo did not fail, perhaps it is still unknown whether the 7 Marshalseas system can be abolished. But besides this secret, there are other secrets that Domingo knows now. For example, the existence of IMM, symbolizing the absolute equality of kings on the Void Throne, actually has a master. This secret is no less than the existence of the heavenly king Uranus. If known by the kings of those allied countries, it will affect the foundation of the Tianlong people's rule over this world. What can these 2 secrets be exchanged from the hands of world governments? Domingo stood on the deck, watching the rolling waves and laughed wildly. Furfurin. I will snatch the gold from the sky, and I will also take care of the 7 Marshalseas. I will still rule over Dressrosa, and I also need to obtain a few powerful demon fruits from you. What kind of fruits will the world government, which has been recycling powerful fruits, have? Furfurin. It's really exciting. But before that, I must first obtain the surgical results. The strength of this fruit is beyond doubt. The most important thing is that it can cure Luo's injury and give the Don Quixote family a top-notch doctor. Chapter 10. Surgical Fruits and Drake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The captain of the Bareilles pirates, former Navy Colonel Dias Bareilles, was holding a banquet with his companions on the island of Minion in his occupied territory. The transaction with the Don Quixote family regarding the surgical fruit has been settled, and the exaggerated amount of 5 billion belly is enough to make them give up their identity as pirates and go elsewhere to become wealthy families. Remembering the time when he risked his life fighting pirates to earn so much money, Bareilles felt that his former self was extremely foolish. Drake curled up in the corner, looking at his father who was drinking with fear on his face. He was very anxious in his heart, and he didn't understand why he had become a pirate after being a righteous naval officer and his role model father. And after becoming a pirate, the father who used to be extremely gentle towards him disappeared, and now he has become a drunkard who either hits or scolds him. Drake hates his current life very much. He wants to escape here, but a young man is helpless and has no choice. Bang! The door was rudely opened by someone, and a pirate ran in panting. The cold and piercing wind made Drake, leaning against the fire, shiver. Hello. Captain. I saw the Don Quixote family's ship. They're about to arrive. Upon hearing these words, Bareilles was overjoyed. Oh. Ha ha ha. Come here and take a few sips to drive away the cold. Ha ha ha. We're about to become wealthy. Bareilles took out the surgical fruit in the shape of a red heart and said. I really don't understand why these people want to become capable. 5 billion Bailey. We can all live the rest of our lives comfortably now. A group of idiots. Ahahaha. Drake wrapped himself in his thin clothes and leaned closer to the stove. Without the presence of Rossi Nandi, coupled with the fact that over the past year, Duo Flamenco had specifically instructed Bareilles not to disclose the news of the surgical results, so this transaction did not go unnoticed by the Navy as in the original work. On the Numancia Flamingo, although treated by doctors, Luo was already very weak and his face had been partially occupied by silver lead. At this moment, he was being held in the arms of Da Flamenco. Although the cold wind was piercing and the pain in his body continued, seeing Da Flamenco's calm expression, Luo's heart felt incredibly warm. Over the past year, Do Flamingo not only personally took care of Luo, but also taught Luo, who was unable to participate in training due to physical reasons, some experience about training techniques. And we attach great importance to the diet and living environment of several children, and occasionally play some very childish games with them. We have invited cultural teachers to teach them. I also took some time every month to introduce some knowledge about the development of devil fruit to a few people. Whether it's material needs or in the hearts of the children of Luo, Duo Flamenco is simply their reincarnated parents. Luo, don't panic, as long as it takes another half hour, your illness will be cured. The calm voice of Duo Flamenco reached Luo's ear, and Luo smiled weakly and said. Young master, I never doubt what you say. Even without this fruit. I believe you can definitely find a way to treat my illness. Furfurin. Do you have confidence in me? The ship docked steadily, and after a group of people landed on the island, Doflamenco handed Luo over to Diamante. Without saying a word, he opened his palm and countless threads flew into the sky before slowly falling down. In the blink of an eye, the edge of Minion Island was surrounded by hard silk threads, as if it had turned into a birdcage. Diamante asked in confusion. Dover, this is. Doflamenco said expressionlessly. The uniqueness of the surgical fruit has made governments, navies, and others around the world want it. Our transaction with Beryllus is very secretive now, and no one else is aware of it. So, in order to protect this secret, no pirate on this island remains. A few pirates stationed at the port, as soon as they walked over, saw this scene. Then, with a raise of his hand, Doflamenco saw countless threads piercing through them. Subsequently, Domingo ordered. Diamante holds Luo and follows me to make a good deal with them. Buffalo, take Baby 5 to the sky and search this island. Others are waiting for Baby 5's message, kill all those people. Obey me, young master. Beryllus, who was drinking loudly in the tavern, had no idea what was happening on the island and was still excitedly drinking with his companions. Drake hugged his legs and curled up by the fireplace. The hunger in his stomach made him very uncomfortable, but he dared not come forward to eat and drink with them, because the consequences of doing so could range from a few scoldings to a severe beating. He can only survive by waiting for these people to have enough to eat and drink, and then eating the leftover food from them. G. The door was opened again, but this time it became much gentler. Drake looked up and a man wearing pink sunglasses, a black suit, and a pink feather coat walked in. Behind him was a man holding a child, who was tall and always entered the room with a bent waist. After seeing them, Beryllus quickly stood up excitedly. Ha ha ha, duo Flamenco. Nice to meet you. Beryllus. Where are the surgical fruits? Upon hearing Domingo's inquiry, unprepared Beryllus took out the surgical fruit and said. Isn't that right? The Bailey you prepared. The fruit in his hand suddenly flew towards Doflamenco, and Beryllus quickly took out a revolver and aimed it at Doflamenco, saying. Hey! 5 billion Baileys. You're not planning on not admitting it, are you? Doflamenco checked the authenticity of the fruit and handed it to Luo. Eat him up. Luo. Hey! Shut up. I'm going to shoot. Give me 5 billion Baileys. Otherwise, I would have really fired. Doflamenco helped himself with his sunglasses and laughed loudly. Furfurin. Then you can shoot. Damn it. Bang. After the gunshot, Beryllus looked at his fallen companion and shouted in fear. What happened? What's wrong with me? Why? How could it be like this? Captain Beryllus. I can't control my body anymore. Bang. 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 After a round of shooting, Drake walked out with a frightened expression under the control of Doflamenco. At this moment, except for the three of them, only he and his father, the bloody Beryllus, survived. Furfurin. Beryllus. I want the goods, but I don't want to give the money. What do you think I should do? At this moment, Beryllus's drunkenness had completely dissipated, and he looked at Doflamingo, desperately squeezing out a smile and saying. Then I'll give it to you. Please spare my life. Spare your life. Sure. However. Doflamenco pointed to the trembling Drake and said. Kill him and I'll spare your life. Father. What?